out, Vince.
What is up, everybody? We are back in the best ball streets on Underdog. Sit down, strap in. The streets are hot. Man, I tell you, they are hot. And I still hit the wrong daggum intro, but that's okay. That's okay. Welcome to Club Fantasy FFL. Welcome to Masterclass. And now, USA women's rugby fans, Stacy. Woo-wee. We are back in the best ball mania streets on Underdog. As always, our co-host and Professor Stacy Perez. Stacy_Perez83 over there on Twitter. And as always, you can find me at FantasyJ77 on Twitter. Stacy, how are you tonight? What's going on?
Oh man, I am doing so great. I am a newly minted rugby fan.
Yes.
I think we're so desperate for football action out here. I turn on the Olympics and I see this sport that looks so similar to football, and it combines the things I love about football and hockey all together with like just the aggression and just throwing people down and trucking people and just running down the field. And I was like, I love this sport. I could watch this all the time. This is so much fun. So go women's rugby team. Love it. Love everything I'm watching over there. The Olympics is such a fun time of year, Gator. It's you get to watch stuff that you have never seen in your life and probably will never see again.
What's awesome, Stacy, is I got the alert that that the women won their first goal or first medal in rugby, which is phenomenal, right? That was at whatever 2:00 this afternoon or whatnot.
Something like that.
When I got home, they happened to be showing the replay. Oh, I had to watch the whole thing. And I do not think I've ever watched a full rugby match.
Same.
Right? I think it's called a match.
Not.
But
I don't know.
It was awesome. And our good friend and new member, Vince, who is down under.
What's up, Vince?
Rugby is great as well.
Yes.
Unfortunately, Vince, we did have to go and take over that medal from your beloved Australian team.
We did. We had to take that down. It just occurred to me, Gator, and I got a question. So I want to know from Vince, who's out there listening. Vince, have we met before? And the reason why I asked that, and I'll give you very specific context here, is that last
wait. You did not swipe. This isn't a swipe.
No. I don't know if you remember, but last year I went on a cruise. I went on a Mediterranean cruise for my birthday last year. So this is October of last year. So it happens to be a Sunday in October. I am in Rome with some girlfriends, and it is a Sunday, and I found a Pittsburgh Steelers bar that showed football games. And I drug all of them down there to watch the Chiefs and the Bengals. And I'm sitting there making conversation with the whole place is full of, people watching the games. There were several Americans there. Made a conversation, chatted up some people that were from Australia. They're watching the game, and we talked about the podcast and everything. And so I was like, I don't remember his name, but I was like, I wonder if that could have been Vince. Like, how cool would that have been if that was him? Vince, I don't know if that was you or not. But that'd be a really cool story if it was.
It would add to the story.
Yeah.
It would absolutely add to the story.
Exactly. But football's worldwide, man. Like, who would have thought? Like in Rome, Italy, Vince, listen, I'm not a Steelers fan either, but it was the only place in Rome that had NFL football. Okay, so cut me some slack. All right, but that's where we are.
The answer is no. It wasn't Vince.
It was not Vince. Damn it. Well, there goes my cool story. So, oh well. Next time.
You could still add to the story. Now it would be a lie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's even cooler then. I guess it means that there's at least 2 people in Australia who are listening to us tonight.
That's right. We got Joe Worth in the house.
Joe
Ortiz in the house. Of course, Vince is in the house. And Mr. Scampers, good evening, Mr. Scampers. Alas, it was not me. Been a few years since he's been in the States. No, she was in
I was in Rome, Italy, Vince. Rome, Italy, last October.
A little bit closer. All right, Stacy, let's talk about tonight's draft. We are doing Best Ball Mania.
Yes.
Talk about it. It's been a minute since we've been here to these streets. What are we doing?
Yeah. Yeah. Best Ball Mania, guys. So right now they are currently, looks like about halfway full. It's a $25 entry, 150 entry max entry. This is going to be a $1.5 million to first place, along with cash prizes for several different places. And gosh, I have no idea how far it goes down, but several thousand down. Great, great contest to play in. This is its 5th year, Best Ball Mania 5. Um, 30 seconds per pick, 18 rounds. Going to be your typical underdog roster with a quarterback, 3 receivers, 2 running backs, a tight end, a flex. So yeah, and if you are wanting to draft with us, if you're out there listening, you're ready to go. I'm going to hit enter right now. So jump on in. Hopefully we can all, be in the same room, those of us that are out there drafting. Let's see. I've got 3 more people that this room is waiting on. Hopefully you're in there. If you're in there, if you end up in here, we're only waiting on 1 now. If you're in here and you're in the chat, let us know.
Yes.
Well, we can check it. Oh, there we go. Now it's full. I'm going to throw that draft board up here. Give me 2 seconds to get that going.
No, you are good. As you're bringing that up, I just wanted to breaking news out of the NFL. Of course, we touched on it pre-show. You and I did. Big payday for DJ Moore. 110 million over 4 years, 80 something million guaranteed. Got paid.
He got paid. Jordan Love gets paid. Tua gets paid. Everybody's getting paid right now except for us, Gator.
Well, that's something back in the 2020 class of quarterbacks is, I mean, 1.12 or 1.2 billion dollars amongst those quarterbacks. Absolutely amazing. Joel is in the draft with us, and he gets yet another 12 pick. Appreciate your donation, Joel. Appreciate your donation.
We're drafting out of the 9 spot tonight. Shocking. Christian McCaffrey goes 101.
Yeah. Vince, going back to the DJ Moore, Denston Oliver Moore Jr. gave them a discount, he says. I don't think Drew Rosenhaus, who I believe is his agent, gives anybody discounts.
No. Drew's not in the business of giving people discounts. That is for sure.
He's not a discounting type of guy.
No, he is not. CeeDee Lamb, who is in rumors, CeeDee Lamb is trying to get an extension this year. I saw that pop up on some alerts today.
Well, I mean, he should get paid, right?
Absolutely, he should.
Dallas has made the mistake of not paying him already, and it's costing him more money. As these deals get done, I think the same thing is going to happen in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase.
Oh, I think so too. I think
you've got these 2 guys that are sitting there looking at a Justin Jefferson deal, a DJ Moore deal that just went down. All these guys want to get paid, and rightfully so. But these owners being cheapskates, it's saying they're all in, but they're not all in.
No.
When you go all in, go ask anybody that plays poker. When you go all in, all the chips, not half the chips. It's all of the chips. And I know Dallas has got the issue where they've got to pay Dak and all that as well, or he's going to be 75 million next year, 75 million per year for a quarterback. It's not going to be that high, but it's going to be it's going to start with a 6.
Well, nobody's crying for Jerry Jones, Gator.
No, nobody's crying for Jerry Jones.
Nobody's crying for Jerry.
Nobody's crying for Jerry Jones.
Did you see what I saw?
Yes, starting off with Breece Hall here. Completely off brand. I like it though.
Yeah. Do you see what happened to a teammate?
Little Marvin Harrison.
Little Marvin Harrison in the first round, 8th pick overall. Yeah. That is probably the highest I've seen him go.
Wide receiver 6 in this class, or in this draft. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a new one for me. I've been seeing some pretty interesting builds recently. I've been trying to do some more of these on the weekends. Just because my goal for me personally is to get to 20 Best Ball Manias. That's what I had last year. That's what I feel comfortable doing. As far as spending wise and everything with everything else that we're doing this season. And I'll tell you what, Gator, I saw Mike Evans go in the first round. in
As he
a
should go in
draft
the
this
first round. He's a
weekend.
Tampa
I was
quarterback.
gonna say, was that you? Was that
No,
you
it was
drafting
not
Mike
me.
Evans in the first round?
No, it was
It's
not
not
me.
you.
No, it wasn't me. No,
Ah.
I would not do that. I wouldn't do that. There's there might be a few players that I would take before him, but I'm not taking him in the first round. Wouldn't do
No,
that.
that's a bit of a reach for me. And that actually is going to go to one of the points we're going to make a little bit later here in talking some different strategies and what not to do necessarily in these drafts. I kind of thought about taking him there in the second round, but I feel like that's still a smidge too early for my blood. But you're right. I did take Brees Hall as my starter there. It was really between him and AJ Brown, and that pick at 8 with Harrison kind of surprised me a little bit. But I don't have very much Brees Hall in my life this season, so I thought it was a good chance to go ahead and grab him since he fell to me at this position. Um, I think he's going to have another outstanding year, and it seems like there might be some contention in Jets camp right now with Rodgers and Garrett Wilson from what we're seeing.
They're
Some
talk.
growing pains?
No, I think
No?
I think they're talking. Honestly, I think it's about Real Housewives of New York, and disagreeing on certain things of the show. I think that's what it is. Listen,
Okay.
or it's over Aaron's ayahuasca trip.
Did he not invite Garrett? Now Garrett's upset.
That's a possibility.
He's feeling left out.
Why is Corley allowed to stay at your house and I'm not? I don't know what the argument is. But yeah,
That's
I
hilarious.
have seen that image way too many times
Yeah.
on Twitter over the last 4 or 5 days. So it's been fun to watch the commentary of the spectator of what the actual conversation was.
Oh, I know. I know.
You sick when
Those
you
are
were
always
supposed to
interesting.
say.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like who knows what's being said with them and
They are pretty animated though. They
oh
are
yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
which
They're
you
very
get two
animated.
alphas in a room. That's kind of what happens.
Right. I agree. I definitely agree. Speaking of training camp, I got to go to Bucks training camp twice
I saw
last Thursday, and I got to go this yesterday morning, as well. So that was a ton of fun.
I saw a few pictures
Mhm.
of you at Bucks training camp, and
Yes.
to be quite honest, I thought you were if I can say it without getting
Yeah.
yelled at, I think you were a little bit too focused with your camera on on one running back in particular.
Which one? Because I gotta tell you, after going for 2 days and the way they kinda had the field set up and the bleachers where everybody could sit, the running backs were practicing almost directly in front of where I was sitting. I was trying to get at the 50-yard line, really just have a good view of everything that was going on, and I am almost completely convinced that Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving
There you go.
are the same height as me, okay? Like, I'm only 5'3", guys, but I saw those 2 out on the field, and I was like, "That 5'9" listed in the media guide might be a little generous."
I mean, yeah, but you were up high, Bucky Irving was in your
I
line of
was not up
sight.
high, Gator. I was front row.
Oh, oh, oh,
I
oh,
know.
okay, okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Ooh, speaking of doing things that I don't typically do, here we go,
Vince
Michael
says
Pittman Jr.
Vince says Garrett Wilson has moved up in his rankings since that tussle. He could be his RB1 this season.
I love that. I love that,
Love
Vince. You like that he's,
that was and
standing up to
that was
Big Bad
probably
Aaron?
the argument. That was probably what the argument truly was about.
Yeah,
Or
I'm
I'm not even
sure.
gonna call it an argument. It was probably, Garrett saying I could be, wide receiver 1, and then Rodgers going, "No, Devontae Adams is still out there." And Garrett's like, "Who are you
And
ta
they
who is
could still trade for him. They
I think
absolutely could still trade. Can you imagine? I don't even wanna speak that into as much as I would love a reunite, Aaron Rodgers with Devontae Adams, who as a Packer fan, my favorite receiver of all time. Um, I what that would do for my Garrett Wilson shares would just be disastrous. Can't do it.
or in this case, our Brees Hall share.
Well, you know,
Well, let's
that's
talk about this
yeah.
draft in particular right here. We
Let's
had
talk
Christian
about it.
McCaffrey go 1-1, of course. CeeDee
Mhm.
Lamb No drop off with the holding out of camp and
No.
contract talks. Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. Again, no drop off with his contract talks going on. Bijan Robinson, the second running back off the board here at the 1-6. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Marvin Harrison might be the surprise of the draft here, at least in the first round, going at the 1-8. Brees Hall to Stacy, A.J. Brown, Garrett Wilson, Puka Nacua to round out the first round. Devon Achane, running back 3 off the board in this draft. Maybe a little bit of surprise, but I know it's Joel. Probably more of a kind of balancing out his exposure, probably there. Devon Achane starting off at the 2-1 here. Jahmyr Gibbs, Deebo Samuel, Drake London to Stacy, Saquon Barkley, Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Adams, Brandon Ayuk, Chris Olave, Nico Collins, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle in the second round. Starting the third round with Malik Neighbors, who is moving up the board quite a bit. We were seeing at the beginning of the year, right after the draft, of course, it was Malik Neighbors was still probably in this 3-4 turn area. Now he's creeping up into that 2-3 turn. Cooper Kupp to follow him at the 2-2, at the 3-2. Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, Kyron Williams, the 7th running back off the board. Derrick Henry, DJ Moore, who just got that massive extension. Stephon Diggs, Michael Pittman Jr., Jalen Hurts, the first QB off the board. Zay Flowers, and then Travis Kelce to in the third round. Stacy, we talked about Marvin Harrison there at the 1-8 being a little bit surprised. Are you surprised Devon Achane, the third running back off the board?
No, I'm not surprised at all. I mean, I think his stock just, continues to rise. He's an explosive player on a great offense. Is it maybe a little too rich for me? Probably. But if you want him on your squad, that's where you're going to have to take him in the second round. There's no way he's coming back to Joel at all, especially with him being on the turn. So, occasionally you are going to have to reach for your guys. Speaking of reach, we're going to need to talk about what just happened to Team 3 in round 4 right there in just a second. But I don't have any issue with Devon Achane and going in that spot, especially given what his production was last year and what it could be this year. Is there any way that we can move ourselves over onto the side of the screen?
I mean, I could probably do that with this one button.
Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. We can see everybody now. We really need to take a second and talk about team number 3 here. That is Denyon Craig. If you are in the chat, sir, we need to discuss Raheem Mostert in the 4th round. I don't know what to think about that, Gator. I might be speechless.
I mean, I love it.
I mean, I love the player. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely love the player. 4th round seems pretty high for me. I can try to grab some ADP real quick.
Well, I mean, when you look at what he's got to remember, something we have to talk about is correlation in these bigger tournaments. And when you're correlating, I mean, you got Tyreek Hill, you got Raheem Mostert on the exact same team there. When you're looking at their teams, a week 15 correlation already set up with his second pick in Nico Collins, right? And then the only thing he's got to worry about is little San Francisco, little Cleveland, and he can get that all later.
So,
I mean, maybe it's a little rich, but when you talk about, trying to build a team, especially in these big tournaments like this, and be a little bit different, you're going to reach for players.
Well, I get that 100%. Right now in basketball rankings, he is the 27th running back off the board, going in the 90th spot. So that is much, much higher than where he's going there. And I do agree with Joe over here in the chat. Mostert 3 or 4 rounds later, at least. In this thing, and I totally get going after the guys that you want on your team and making it work, but that to me is so much of a reach that it kind of just, I don't know, that to me is not worth that. You could have gotten him much later, and now you're passing on value at other positions, or even at that position in particular. He could have had a Josh Jacobs, for one thing, or he could have had a Trey McBride. Look at that right there. Kincaid, Andrews, all of whom,
I was trying to put a good spin on it.
You were, and I'm not, hating on the pick, because I actually do. I love that player, but I love that player because you're getting him at such a value.
Right. You're not getting him a value here.
Absolutely not. No.
Look, the other thing we're doing here is we are paying up. Like you're here in the 4th round. You're probably drafting him at his ceiling, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure you have. And especially, if you're concerned about injuries, that kind of thing, he's a running back, right? That will happen throughout the season.
And especially with him, he's been known to be injured
yeah,
for a game or two every single year, if I'm not mistaken.
for sure. And you're banking on Achane having the exact same numbers as they did last year. I mean, you can't think that there's not going to be some regression there. I mean, you can't score. What did he have? Like 20 something touchdowns. Am I right? Last year? Uh, you know, maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Anything could happen, but I don't foresee that happening again this year.
Yeah, before you scroll up here, I just want to get through round 4 and 5 here. We got George Pickens start off round. I'm sorry. Did we get through? Yeah, George Pickens starts off round 4.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
No, Patrick Mahomes starts off round 4. Tank Dell, Josh Allen, T. Higgins, Sam Laporta, Amari Cooper, Isaiah Pacheco, Lamar Jackson, Travis Etienne Jr., Raheem Mostert, who we just spoke about, Trey McBride, the third tight end off the board for Trey McBride. George Pickens ends the 4th round, starting the 5th round with Dalton Kincaid, Christian Kirk, Mark Andrews, Terry McLaurin, Keenan Allen, Josh Jacobs, Anthony Richardson, James Cook, Jaden Reed, Hollywood Brown, Calvin Ridley, and Rashid Rice ends the 5th round. Anybody in this 5th round that you want to speak about or talk about real briefly before we dive into the correlation and what we need to get through for this draft?
Yeah, I mean, I really like all these receivers that are going here. I think you're still getting pretty tremendous value there with McLaurin and Keenan Allen, who, I think is going to surprise a lot of people on Chicago this year. I don't necessarily buy in that, just because he's 32, that he's going to face that massive drop off yet. I just kind of actually was just working on this for something else, but how many 1,000+ yard seasons does Keenan Allen have, Gator?
I will look it up right now.
No, because I know the answer.
Let's see. Yeah. He's been in the league for how many years?
Since 2017.
2017. So that's 6 or 7 years. I know he had 1,000 yards in his rookie year. I'm going to say he's got 1,000 yards in every year but 2. So 5 years.
Actually, I am so sorry. 2013 is when he came into the league. I don't know why it's 2017. 2013.
I was thinking.
I know. Yeah. Sorry, Keenan. But anyway, to answer the question, 2013 he had one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years of 1,000+ yards. In 2020 he had 992, and in 2022 he had 813. So very, very close for a significant portion of his career. He is an elite receiver, and until he falls off, I'm gonna still roll the dice here on Keenan Allen. So not buying it. Just like DeAndre Hopkins, right here, who goes to team 1 in the 6th round. These guys are so elite that Devontae Adams as well. I'm not really worried about them dropping off just yet until it actually happens. There's some other guys that I am worried about that because they have, gone over that age 30. They're getting a little bit older. They have shown signs of decline, but Keenan Allen's not one of them yet.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull up Keenan Allen there just to make sure, because I was thinking the same thing. He and Keenan Allen and DeAndre Hopkins both entered the league in 2013, and I mean DeAndre Hopkins 7 or 8 years of 1,000 yards. Yeah. So I mean, yeah,
right.
And I know the first half of that was all with Deshaun Watson in Houston, and then he had the 3 years in Arizona. But out of those 3 years in Arizona, he only had 1 year of 1,000 yards, which is crazy to me.
Right.
He had 1,000 yards last year with Will Levis.
Yeah, exactly. With Will Levis.
I mean, 490 of them came against Tampa in that one game where he had 5 touchdowns or whatever it was in the first quarter. It was insane.
I'm kind of going through here, looking at some of the different correlations, not just in week 17, but also in week 15 and 16 that we have as well, going on with Atlanta. They kind of go with the Giants here. So it looks like I might need to get some Giants in my life here, because we've got Indianapolis with Michael Pittman, and they obviously have a week 17 with the Giants. So I don't know. We might have to look at that a little bit later, see if there's anybody that piques our interest from there. The Jets also match up with Jacksonville. So I've got some of that there with Ingram, and then with Brees Hall, so that's nice. I am about to be on the clock here, so I need to take a look and see who's available. But we'll get back to that here in just a second.
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a message in the private chat of who I think
Ooh.
who I think you could be looking at from the Giants here later.
Okay.
That might pique your interest with the build you have going on here.
Okay.
Of course, you taking Aaron Jones. I love the Aaron Jones pick there in the
Yes.
7th round. I'm trying to look at some of these builds, but you got to remember I'm on a smaller screen because
You are.
this one, yeah, this. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. There we go. I can see a little bit better. Chris Godwin at the end of the 6th. That's interesting.
Nice.
I like that. I like that.
3 years of 1,000+ yards for him as well.
Yeah, and he's probably going to get that again this year. At least I think he will. And the main reason is I think the slot is going to be such a nice move for him.
Right.
That he is. The downside to that, I think, is going to hurt a little bit of K. Dotton. K. Dotton's going to be on the field for 90% of the plays, but Chris Godwin's going to be the recipient of the not dump offs, but the quick slants, that sort of thing, where it's not going to be K. Dotton. K. Dotton will still be a viable guy. In my opinion, I think he will still be a guy that you can rely on for touchdowns, maybe six touchdowns this year in the mid zone area. But Godwin's going to get the targets and going to get the receptions there. And Joel will not listen. Brian Thomas, Joel, you won't stop Brian Thomas. Can't stop, won't stop. It's insane. Oh, I love that pick there, Jackson Smith-Njigba.
Well, he was at I think it was in like the 70s was where his ADP was at, and I took him right there. What is that? 88 with my 88th overall. So and he had fallen, and he's a player that I really like this year. I have a good feeling about him coming on, kind of replacing Tyler Lockett as that number 2 there in Seattle. They've got that new offensive coordinator from Washington. That guy was, just prolific with his offense there. So changing of the guard in Seattle, I think they're going to be new way of doing things there. Tyler Lockett also on the wrong side of 30. But his production has declined the last couple of years. So I can foresee JSN kind of taking that next step, kind of supplanting him as that number 2, and to get him in the 8th spot as my wide receiver 5. I'm all about that build.
Yeah, go back real quick. I just want to hit the chat real quick. Vince says Mosher had 19 total touchdowns for his career up until 23, 21 last year. He cannot return that value, not going 46 overall. Joe says, I like you for double-digit TDs. Joel says he can't stop, won't stop the TD god and Brian Thomas. Dylan has a question. Which Chargers receiver is the one to grab? All are going late.
Yeah,
I already know your answer. Good Lord, I already know your answer.
You do know my answer because I posted about him today.
Yes, you did. Yes,
yeah. Guys, if you follow me at Stacy_Perez83 on the Twitter machine, you can see where I retweeted a tweet today from training camp with Lad McConkey, baby. Lad McConkey. Okay. You know what though? I like Lad, but you know what though? I wouldn't have any issue grabbing Palmer either. Because I really do think, Palmer probably is going to step into that one role. Lad McConkey is going to be there as 2. I don't want any part of Quentin Johnston. I don't really think the Chargers want any part of him either. DJ Chark is also there, not a bad grab towards the later ends of your draft. But I do like those guys. I'm not buying into, stay away from their passing offense because, they're just going to be a run. I'm going to quote this stat until I die. Field Yates earlier this year said, even the worst or the team that passed the least amount last season passed for 48% of the time. So if you're telling me Justin Herbert's going to pass for at least 48% of the time, most likely, yeah, sure. Sign me up for still some of those pass catchers. I think they're criminally underrated, that entire offense, really, this year.
Yeah, I think when it comes to the Chargers wide receiver room, for me, it's probably Palmer to start with.
There he goes.
In a So
Speak of the devil.
yeah, so in a normal set your roster league, it's Palmer,
Yeah.
right? And in a best ball for me, because you can get him so late, it's probably DJ Chark,
hmm
right? It's you can't he's penciled in as the starter, but you can't
Right.
pencil him in or even put him in your starting lineup, even in a flex spot when you have to set your lineup.
Yeah.
It's probably Chark for as a best ball play for me.
hmm
Palmer would be the one that I would have for a set your lineup league.
Yeah. I agree with that. There, I like that.
Vince over here just throwing stones.
Oh
Demarius
my
Davis.
goodness. Oh my goodness.
Where did we leave off here? Did we got through rounds 3, then through
Yeah,
5, right?
this is moving. So we're rolling on the end of round 9 here.
All
Let me
right.
know
So
if I've scrolled up too
keep me
far for
at
you.
6 right here. Scroll back
Okay,
up just a hair.
just a second. There you go.
Yep. So starting off round 6, we had Chris Godwin, Rashid Rice, Kyle Pitts, Evan Ingram, Deontay Johnson, Roma Dunze, Xavier Worthy, Joe Mixon, Christian Watson, Kenneth Walker, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins to end the 6th. Starting off the 7th, the aforementioned Lad McConkey,
hmm
Alvin Kamara, CJ Stroud, Ramondre Stevenson, which I would have taken Ramondre over Mostert, I think, but you're going to get
I
most down
agree.
to the same level.
I agree.
George Kittle, Keon Coleman, David Montgomery, Jake Ferguson, Aaron Jones, Zamir White, James Conner, Najee Harris in the end of the 7th round. I love that for Joel Worth. Najee Harris is probably my most
That's
exposed player
nice.
right now.
That's really
Um,
nice.
wrapped around starting the 8th round with Brian Thomas, Curtis Samuel, Jonathan Brooks, JSN, Dak Prescott, Jamison Williams, Jordan Addison, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Warren, DeAndre Hopkins. Round 9 starts with Cortland Sutton, Brian Thomas Jr., Jalen Wright, Tony Pollard, Zach Moss, Josh Palmer, David Njoku, Romeo Dobbs, and Stacy finally gets a quarterback with Jaden Daniels, Tajay Spears, Brock Bowers, Devin Singletary
Mhm.
to end the 9th round. Since Devin Singletary went off right there, that's the one I was looking, Stacy,
I know.
for you to grab from the Giants there. Joel,
Yeah.
nice pick. I am actually in on Devin Singletary this year. That offense is going to sputter a good little bit. And like Josh Hudson, I do believe Devin Singletary can be, has been, and will continue to be the bell cow that we look for, but we're getting him in the 9th round here. Somebody that you can just plug and play kind of a guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Joel might be in our private chat. Taking the
It's in our private
Singletary
chat.
there. He saw that for us. Um, no, and I like him as well there. I did really want to go ahead and grab my quarterback, especially after Burrow, Love, Dak, Tua. I'll go there in round 8. I just thought it was time, and ADP, as it is right now, through Underdog, and that's about where Gene Daniels is actually 4 spots past ADP here. So thought it was a good spot to get him. He correlates really nicely with my Atlanta stat there that I've got going on with Drake London. Really wanted to get Kyle Pitts with that too, but that's okay. I've got one of those to go. So I'll have that going in week 17, which will be really nice because apparently everybody I've drafted has a bye in weeks 12 and 14. So those 2 weeks are going to be brutal. But though I did, kind of doing some research and everything for the show, prior to, I came across an article from Underdog's Hayden Winks, about, different things to kind of take away from Best Ball Mania 4 from last season. And one of them was, kind of regarding those, quarterbacks, when you're taking quarterbacks, if you've punted going, quarterback and waited and waited and waited, it seems to be around 11. Anybody taken after that has really kind of been not great for teams that have waited that long. So I was kind of close there coming up on around 9 and 10 when I went to grab my guys. Didn't really want to wait much longer, especially because I get Jane Daniels because with the correlation there with Atlanta and then getting Trevor Lawrence to go with my Evan Ingram stack. So, thought that was pretty important to make sure that I had those two, at least the stacks and the correlation working when I went to get my quarterback. Dylan, I see Dylan's comment, Gator, yeah, about Kirk Cousins there. Cousins was also on my list in my queue if I hadn't been able to get Lawrence and Daniels. And it's exposure for me this round. I like Cousins. very much this year. I've taken a ton of Atlanta. It's exposure for me at this point to go grab Daniels and Lawrence because I don't have any of those builds right now.
Yeah, he's somebody that, Kirk, speaking of Kirk Cousins, he's somebody that you can get in these later rounds.
Mm-hmm.
And he seems to be kind of a tricky play for me, right? I know I can get him in the 9th, possibly the 10th, depending on how quarterbacks are going, but I always want to push it one more round.
Right.
And it's usually that round is when somebody else is like, screw it. Why not Kirk Cousins? I'm like, damn it.
Somebody's thinking the exact same thing you are, which is what happened to me over here with teammate Sergeant Sweeney grabbing Zeke Elliott from me. But that's okay because I'll go grab Zach Charbonnet to go with my JSN stack there. And hopefully I can get a little piece of Chicago a little bit to make that week 17 workout. But let's take a look at what the rest of their playoff schedule looks like. They've got Green Bay and they have Minnesota, then Chicago. So it looks like they're just doing like an NFC North tour, which works out really well for me because I have pieces of both Green Bay and Minnesota's there. So, we've talked about not only just correlating week 17, but also making sure that you're correlating the other weeks too, so that you get, max out your points through the rest of the season.
I don't know why we don't call him by what his name should be, what you should have named him a year ago. Zach, the glass of Chardonnay.
Chardonnay. And again, Zach, if you haven't invested in a winery yet, I really think you're just wasting your money at this point. And all the rest of our time. Come on, man.
Get through these next 2 rounds here, round 10 and 11. Round 10 started off with Shaheed, Brock Purdy, Javonte Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Chase Brown, Caleb Williams, Tyler Lockett, Khalil Shakir, Dallas Goedert, Dontavion Wicks, Brandon Cooks, Trey Benson there to end the 10th round. Javonte Williams sitting down here in the 10th round is kind of disrespectful. That's number one. Number 2, for me, Chase Brown is getting a lot of hype right now, and he's still in the 10th round, not moving up at all. Those are 2 big surprises for me in the 10th round. In the 11th round, we had Nick Chubb, Gus Edwards, Jerry Jeudy, Blake Corum, Jacoby Myers, Pat Freiermuth, Jerome Ford, Ezekiel Elliott, Zach Charbonnet, Austin Eckler, Jared Goff, Xavier Legette. In this round in particular, what surprises me is that Nick Chubb, who is probably not going to start the season, probably won't start the first 6 games. Possibly the starter with Jerome Ford goes 6 picks later.
Mm-hmm. I know. Yeah, I don't get that. I mean, look, I hope Nick Chubb comes back and, I hope that he plays again because he's just such a asset to the league. And I think the NFL's better with him in it. But, man, I am not taking any part of that this year. I just can't do it.
Don't
not
take
at his
it the wrong
price.
way. I don't mind getting Nick Chubb, especially depending on what your running back room looks like. But there's no way you can take Nick Chubb up in front of Jerome Ford at this point, right?
You can't. You absolutely can't. Not with that injury. Look, I get it. He got injured very early on in the season. We've seen all the videos of him just like, squatting 1,000+ pounds. I mean, not really, but it might as well be.
It was 580. It was
okay. It might as well be. I mean, my gosh, like, come on, Gator. Can you imagine like actually trying to do that? That's wild. But
no, it hurt me watching him do it.
Yeah. Regardless, I mean, he's still, exercise is one thing, but you still got to get out there. You got to play. You got to have confidence in that knee. That's the same knee that he tore up in college. It's just really worrisome to me to be putting all your eggs in. And he's not. I mean, he's got DeAndre Swift, he's got Trey Benson. I don't know who the rest of his running back room is, and now he's got Tyler Algier. But to me, it's not really worth the risk at this point for me.
Yeah, spicy news about Tyler Algier today. Where Zach Robinson says, "Oh, he's going to have a major role."
Yeah.
Did he not know that Bijan Robinson was on that team? I'm wondering if anybody outside of that building knows, or inside that building knows, that Bijan Robinson is on that team. Just a question,
right?
Not trying to offend
it
anybody.
doesn't seem like it.
Just a question.
It definitely doesn't seem like it.
Round 12 goes Luke Musgrave, Josh Downs, Gabe Davis, Jahan Dotson, Adonai Mitchell, Dalton Schultz, Justin Herbert, Ty Chandler, Marshawn Lloyd, Jaden Polk, Matthew Stafford, and then Tyler Algier. Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is the epitome of camp hype, coach speak.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time.
Let's talk a little bit more about the correlation that you've got going on with your team here. You just took Julio McLaughlin, which I like that pick.
Like that.
I'm still bigger on Javonte Williams. I think he's gonna be the 1A. I don't think
Oh,
Julio
yeah.
McLaughlin is even gonna be a 1B to him. That's just my
Are you
opinion.
buying the Estime hype? You buying into the Audric Estime?
I'm buying the hype that Audric Estime's got a role,
Yeah, I
and it may
agree.
be, and his role may be bigger than Julio McLaughlin's when it comes
Maybe.
down to the end of the season.
Maybe that's possible. I mean, that's anything's possible when you get down to these depth
Here's
charts when
what
you're talking about running backs.
Here's what you got to remember. Yes, I understand Julio had a great season last year, broke out, whatever you want to call it. His size, he's still small. He is still small.
Yeah.
And when you look at the size of Javonte Williams and Audric Estime, both of them are about the same. Both of them can absolutely be bangers in the goal line area.
Gator, you talk to me about small is somebody like I mentioned earlier with Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker, man.
Damn
From
it,
camp.
Vince!
One of my takeaways.
If they would have just told me that this is what they were talking about, I would have never even brought it up. Appreciate you clearing the air there, Vince. Appreciate you clearing
Right?
the air.
Oh my goodness. All right.
Sorry,
So
I
we
didn't mean
are
to
in
cut you
round
off. I saw that and I was like, this,
14,
I've got to bring this up.
right? We are about to be on the clock here. All right. Can go grab a little Chuba.
I was just going to ask you. I'm kind of looking at correlation, what you've got going on, just with what I can see on the
Yeah.
screen here. You've got Trevor Lawrence,
Ooh, me too.
and then of course you've got Brees Hall at the very beginning, so you have a little bit of Week 15 action there. No
Yes.
Vegas, no Tennessee as of yet.
As of yet, no, I don't have any of those guys yet. I was taking a look at that as well. So Chuba didn't really go with a lot of correlation on my team, but I think this brings up an important point too, as I'm looking at all the guys that I've thrown in my queue that will kind of make sense and kind of correlate with the teams that I haven't been able to grab some of yet. And Chuba really didn't make sense here. However, he was the highest ranked running back still on the board, still available at this point. And for me, I said, you know what? I've waited a little bit. I've got 5 now with Chuba added in. Because I've, spent so much more time, building up that wide receiver core, that I thought, you know what, we're taking the best player available at this point. It doesn't match, but that's okay. And it kind of goes into one of those things where you're wanting to, build a team that makes sense. You want to do the correlation, you want to do the stacking, that kind of stuff, but also you don't want to get too cute, right? And, me going down and saying, okay, here, I'm going to go ahead and take Tyrone Tracy, even though he's on my queue at the 160, even though his ADP is 195, because I need somebody from the Giants, right? And I need a running back, and sacrificing getting Chuba Hubbard, who I think is going to have more opportunity and have more of a defined role in that offense, even with Jonathan Brooks there. Then I don't really know what's going to happen with Tyrone Tracy. I like the player. He's a rookie though. And a lot of times when you get down to the rounds that we're in here, the late rounds, we really don't know what's going to happen with a lot of these rookie running backs. So, it's important that when you're building these rosters, you are still making sense. You're taking better, the best player that is available there for your team that, addresses your team's needs. And, sometimes you're just going to have a naked Chuba. Okay. And that's going to be okay.
Simmer down. Simmer down.
Naked Chuba. That's at 44.02. You can go ahead and timestamp that one, Gator.
Oh my Lord. I'm going to put that down. 44:02. Okay. 44-minute mark. I've got to go find that.
Gotta go find it.
Yes.
Go find it.
We are definitely we're definitely going to be putting you on blast for that, because that was good.
Yeah, you have to. You got to. I mean, and now kind of looking at my team right now, I've got, let's see, I've got a 2-5-6-1 build. So I definitely need to start addressing some of that wide receiver, because you really want to end up with 7 to 8 wide receivers by round 18, in this kind of tournament. I've got 5 running backs. I started with Brees Hall. I feel pretty confident in that. If somebody comes up that makes sense on this team, I'm okay with going to grab them, but I may try to focus on filling in some other positions at this point with only 3 picks left.
Yeah,
Or 4. I'm sorry. I can't count, guys. I was told there would be no math, so.
no, there is no math. There's no math. You don't have to worry about math. So I put out my first article.
Oh, that would have been my pick for Chicago. A little Chicago correlation right there was Khalil Herbert off the
Khalil.
board
I'm
now.
surprised you didn't take Khalil before you took Chuba there, though.
Oh, man. That was a little early, though, for Khalil where he was going. You can get him a little bit later.
It's
And,
around early in this one
yeah,
here. I think I would have made that reach knowing that it was my RB5.
right.
So I put out an article last week. They got put up or they got published. My typical in the first one, my typical lineup looks like this, and I'm just going off of what Stacy just said there. It's usually a 2 quarterback, 5 to 6 running back, 8 to 9 wide receiver, 2 tight end build. That's kind of where I like to be, kind of where I feel comfortable. If I do a little bit later, if I fade the quarterback position, I'll grab 3 of them, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And when I go to grab three running backs, or I'm sorry, 3 quarterbacks, I usually cut back on the running back position. Do you find yourself do the same thing, or do you cut back on your wide receivers?
I try not to cut back on my wide receivers.
Yeah.
Just because PPR, you're starting 3, potentially 4, most likely 4 at that flex spot. So I try not to cut back at that position if I can help it.
Yeah,
I can see
I
that being
find it
done.
hard to cut back on the wide receiver because of
Yeah, it's tough.
the range that I try to get the later
Mhm.
wide receiver in, where I'm shooting for those spike weeks, knowing that I'm going to get some 0 weeks out of those guys. I kind of want to have the spike weeks, hopefully, be opposite of the 0 weeks from the other guy that I'm getting, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to cut back on the wide receiver. I'd rather cut back on the running back. So just a real quick note on something you had brought up a little bit earlier about the way you look at your builds.
Uh, we gotta find a way to go get a backup tight end here. I can't believe we're already in round 16 going into 17, and I
I
need to
know,
go get another tight end.
absolutely flying by. So round
Yeah,
13
these
starts
happened
off.
by fast.
Round 13 starts off with Cole Kmet, Jermaine Burton, Rico Dowell, Darnell Mooney, TJ Hawkinson, Noah Fant, Mike Williams, Demario Douglas, Jaleel McLaughlin, Quentin Johnston, Hunter Henry, Ray Davis. Starting round 14 goes Baker Mayfield, Kamani Vidal, Demarcus Robinson, Chuba Hubbard, Rashad Bateman, Adam Thielen, Geno Smith, Ricky Pearsall, Aaron Rodgers, Antonio Gibson, J.K. Dobbins, Will Levis. God, if you could have got DK Metcalf in the 14th round, that would have been nice.
I was about to say DK Dobbins.
DK Dobbins.
New player, never heard of before.
New player, but he's a stud. He's a
Oh my
stud.
goodness.
Kirk Cousins starts the 15th round. Tyler Conklin, Michael Wilson, Kate Otten, Roman Wilson, Troy Franklin, Khalil Herbert, Bryce Young, Wandale Robinson. There goes your New York Giants
Yeah.
correlation there. Isaiah Likely, Bucky Irving, which I'm surprised somehow Stacy did not find a way to put Bucky Irving on her roster.
I tried, and I did say he was short, but I actually really like Bucky Irving, especially after getting to watch him for a couple days.
Jalen McMillan rounds out round 15 here. I noticed I didn't talk about round 16 as of yet, as far as a complete round here, but I noticed what you did there. You went and got your guy from last year.
Did
Talk about him real quick, Marvin Mims Jr.
Yeah, so I had to get a little Mims to go with my Cincinnati, that I had over there with T. Higgins, make some like nice little week 17 correlation. So I had an opportunity to take Marvin Mims, and it made sense to me. So I think Sean Payton has come out and said that was really kind of on him with Mims's the way that he ended his season last year. So I'm looking forward to him having a bounce back year in his sophomore season. And if he can't do it this year, then maybe we'll get off that Marvin Mims train. But I like where he's going, 16th round. At this point, I'm taking him in the what is that, 184 overall? Come on. I mean, that's pretty good value for a potential number 2 on a starting offense in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know if he's going to be a number 2.
You don't think so?
I mean, you got Cortland Sutton, you've got Troy Franklin, who, of course, has the connection already with Bo Nix.
Yeah.
But is there a role for Marvin Mims? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Is he somebody that you can chase here in the 16th round? 100%.
Yes.
Because if there is that chance, again, best ball, looking at spike weeks,
Right.
you're only looking, with the way this team is rounded out for you, you're looking at Marvin Mims maybe at best 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And hopefully those 2 weeks are that 2 touchdown, 70 yards receiving games. I mean, and be like, okay, I told you. And then next year at this point, he's not going in the 16th. He's going in the 14th round. He's going in the 13th round because of those couple of spike weeks. That's all you're looking for here. In this last 16, 17, round 16, 17, 18, you're looking for these spike week guys that can give you that 1 week of boom.
100%. Now, hopefully we won't get sniped here, but I've got 2 options in the queue here. Spoiler alert, they're both running backs. Wanted to get one more, and both of them actually kind of work for this team. I see that Royce Freeman is showing up back on the boards now since that news out of Dallas, going there in the 17th round to team 8. Tyrone Tracy was one of the ones I was going to pick, so that leaves me no choice but to go grab some Dylan Lobb. Get that Vegas correlation in there that we were trying to grab.
Can't be mad at that. He's getting a
not
lot of hype right now.
He is. I saw some video of him today.
Yep.
At camp, looking pretty good. I mean, that's the thing about the camp, though, at this early. Anything that you're going to see is just going to either absolutely confirm all the biases that you've had and built up all off season, or it's going to, say either you love a player or you hate a player, based on something that happens at training camp, which is kind of meaningless really at this point.
Stacy, we've talked about it a couple of times, or you've brought it up a couple of times of how quick this draft went.
So fast.
But it really is. It's been an hour that we've been drafting. So, yeah, I mean, it's not like it's super fast, but it's been great company. So I absolutely love it. I appreciate it. Where did we leave off? We left off at Jelly McMillan here.
Yes.
Round 16 starts off Audric Estime, Malachi Corley, Jonnu Smith, Marvin Harrison Jr., Marvin Mims Jr.,
Marvin Harrison Jr. in the 17th round.
Montez Walker, Deshaun Watson, DJ Chark, Damian Pierce, Braylon Allen, Elijah Mitchell, Tyler Boyd, Daniel Jones to end the 16th. Starting the 17th with Luke McCaffrey, Zay Jones, Chega Kwonkwo, Jalen Tolbert, Kendre Miller, Javon Baker, Roshan Johnson, Royce Freeman, who is just hey, how you doing? Back in the saddle again. Thanks to the powers that be in there. Dallas, Ben Sinnott, Darius Slayton, CEH, Derek Carr to in the 17th. Starting the 18th, Deontay Foreman, Jawan Jennings, Tyrone Tracy, Dylan Lobb, Will Shipley, who is also getting a lot of hype right now, Dawson Knox, Andre Los Vase?
No, that's Andre Yoshivas.
Okay.
Yeah, Yoshi from Yale. Or no, I'm sorry, Princeton. Excuse me.
Princeton. Yeah, Princeton. Mike Gesicki, Alan Lazard, Tank Bigsby, another guy that popped on the radar today in camp. And then Justin Fields, who is QB1 currently in Pittsburgh. Is that correct? Is this what
it looks like it. I mean, I don't know. Who knows?
And then,
did Russ get taken in this draft?
I don't remember saying Russ Wilson's name, so I don't think he did. Who was Mr. Irrelevant in this draft?
Mr. Irrelevant is Alexander Madison.
Okay. All right. So Joel is already predicting here. So let's do this. I'm going to put it up real quick. Joel is predicting. Draft is done. Now y'all can say you watched the 1.5 million winner, $1 million winner happen live because and I'm with this. I am
I
with
know. I
you,
can't
Joel.
wait to win that money, Joel. I think
Stacy's
that's
draft.
such a compliment to our team.
Yes, I 100% agree. Brees Hall to start off with, Drake London, Michael Pittman Jr., T. Higgins, Jaden Reed, Evan Ingram, and Aaron Jones, JSN, Jaden Daniels, Trevor Lawrence, Zach Charbonnet, Jahan Dotson, Jaleel McLaughlin, Chuba Hubbard, Wandale Robinson, Marvin Mims, Ben Sinnott, Dylan Lobb.
Yep. Winner,
That
championship right here.
sounds like a Best Ball Mania playoff team.
I feel good about this team. It's got some stacking in here. It's got some correlation. It's got several weeks of correlation. I stayed within my kind of rules about my roster construction. And did something a little different than I normally do, starting off there with a running back with Brees Hall, going a little hero RB.
Outside of the surprises that we brought up, with
Hmm.
Marvin Harrison going here,
Yep.
possibly Devon Achan, the Raheem Mostert picks.
Hmm.
Was there any other ones that you like? Oh my God, way too early. Holy crap. What value?
I think for value wise, as far as anybody going, obscenely early, those are the two that are going to stick out the most in this draft. But, I think what happened here is because so many teams went so hard at receiver early on, you kind of see that, tight end getting pushed down a little bit. So you see Kelsey going in the third, and then you've got Laporta and McBride going in the fourth, which is, way beyond where they have been going. Although, maybe that's a trend that's going to be starting. Then you've got Kincaid in the fifth with Andrews. So getting that value then there with Ingram, who had, probably what was it, the most targets among tight ends last season, 143. I think getting him there in the sixth round, I think for me was tremendous value. As well as Jaden Reed, that he was falling just a smidge there. So I really like kind of this group here, 5 through 7 rounds for me with Reed, Ingram, and Aaron Jones there, and even JSN getting him in the eighth when he fell pretty far.
Yeah, I love getting JSN in the eighth. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hot.
Just noticed this. I believe is it team 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Scroll back up, Stacy. It's team 5. No, it's team 6.
Okay.
Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry, Isaiah Pacheco, Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams in
Yeah.
the second round. But 4 of the first 5 picks for them were running back,
Right.
running back heavy. And
Sure.
then the only issue I have is when you scroll down and then your
Yeah.
secondary receivers are Xavier Worthy, Jordan
Mhm.
Addison, Keon Coleman, Josh Palmer, Tyler Lockett, kind of
Yeah.
area. You're kind of,
It's a little worrisome.
which
Yeah.
again, it's best ball. So as long as they don't all spike in the same week and they spread those spike weeks out, we're okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally okay. And I get the, taking Worthy there, but you've got two rookies there that we really don't know what's going to happen with them. You've got Jordan Addison, who's likely going to be suspended for at least some time. Josh Palmer, who I like, and then Lockett, who, we did talk about earlier as somebody who's potentially going to be falling off a little bit this year. So I can't say that I love his receiver room at all. Her, I don't know. They just better hope that those running backs come through for them and that you can plug one of those guys into your flex position pretty much every week. Because you got to start 3 of these guys. So you're looking at starting Devontae Adams, obviously, stud. But you've got to pick out at least 2 more between Worthy, Coleman, Addison, Palmer, Lockett. And then if we scroll even further down, we've got Troy Franklin, who, oh no, I'm getting him confused with Roman Wilson, who's right next to him. Roman Wilson was carted off on an injury today. And then DJ Chark, Javon Baker, Yeshivas I like, but
Lots of
if
rookies.
you're starting Andre Yeshivas every week, you're in trouble.
Lots of rookies and young talent on this team. Little scary, but listen, more than likely this is an additional best ball draft or an additional BBM that they've done.
Yeah, he's
So
a
it's
badge
going to be
bro
completely
or a
different.
badge lady. So they're definitely done more than one of these.
Yeah, we were in with 6 badges tonight, so half the room was badged up. Very, very, very fun. Very fun
And
draft, Stacey.
how I still don't have a badge is beyond me. I need like a counter. Is there like a ticker on Underdog where it tells me how close I am to a badge?
Okay, so let
My
me
gosh. I'm
vent on
drafting all the time over here. What's a girl got to do?
let's vent on Underdog real quick. There's 2
Yeah.
things that Underdog has to do. It has to be done. Has to be done. Number 1, We need a counter for total drafts on
That's right.
what we
Come
have
on.
to
How
do
close
in
are
order
we?
to get the badge.
I need to be motivated to
Right.
get that badge. Come on.
Give us a counter on what we got to do in order to get the badge.
Mhm.
Right. That's number one. Number two, and probably the more important one, is especially with the 8-hour clocks, we need a chat room. We need a chat
Oh,
room.
oh. This is why I don't do slow drafts. This is why I
No,
don't do slow drafts.
it's
But
not
I
bad.
can't do
I
it.
mean, the
Mm-mm.
couple of drafts that I'm in, it's actually moved very, very quickly. But
Yeah.
I was talking about this with Jason Snyder the other day. We need it's the only thing the Underdog is truly missing is some sort of chat room
Yeah.
where you
Where you
can
can reach
chat
out to
about
people.
your drafts, right?
Yeah.
Build
Community.
a network, and I think it would be really cool.
Yeah.
I think Underdog should work on that. That's just
I like that idea too. I can't see, my feelings on slow drafts. I got to tell you, team 8 over here taking nearly the entire 30 seconds of every single pick tonight was driving me insane. So you can only imagine taking the entire 8 hours for every single pick, driving me bananas.
you and Kyra would be awesome.
Can't do it. Can't do it. Just let me set aside my hour and a half to knock out a draft, and then I can move on, do something new.
Yeah, you and Kyra would be awesome.
Zero patience.
Yeah, she's no love for slow drafts,
No.
and not in a bad way. I mean, she just hates them. It's there's no
Not in a bad way. She just absolutely hates their very existence.
yes, there's no point in them. All right, let's get out of here, Stacy. Monday night we got Mocking with the Stars at 10 p.m. with myself. Oh, look at you! Oh, I was like, damn, she
Look
did
at
that.
that. Look at that.
With myself and Chris Battistell. Tuesday nights, Masterclass with myself and Miss Stacy Perez right here, 8:30 on Tuesday. Next week, Stacy, what are we doing next week? Do you remember?
Yeah, I do remember next week. We're going to be back on these Underdog Streets as long as the Scott Fishbowl satellite is still available. We are going to be doing one of those. Haven't done one of those yet. If not, we can pivot, perhaps maybe do like a DraftKings. We've only done one of those. Either way, we're definitely going to be back here drafting with you. So make sure that you like, subscribe, so you can get all those notifications of when we are on here drafting teams that you can jump in and play with us.
100%. Yeah, I'm really hoping that we can get in and do one of the Scott Fishbowl satellites. I think that would be completely awesome. And in fact, if we can, Stacy, I think I might actually draft with you.
Ooh, okay. All right.
So
You
maybe
jump in.
maybe I'll jump in and actually draft.
Yeah.
Wednesday, no pun intended, the flagship show at 7 p.m. Big announcement tomorrow night. So make sure you are tuned in, locked in at 7 p.m. with no pun intended. Thursday night, trade blocked at 8. Thursday night, Mock Girl Summer at 10. 2 shows on Thursday now. Friday, Mock It Like It's Hot, our other mock draft show outside of Mock Girl Summer and Mocking with the Stars. And then Saturday is Summer School, the best ball show at 9 a.m. Now, Matt and Austin have a series that's coming out on a daily right now called Cram Session. They go over every game of week 17 and the correlation when it comes to best ball. Sunday's Dynasty After Party at 11. Big thank you to all the viewers. Thank you to everybody that was in the chat. Vince, Joel, Albert. Sorry, I missed Albert earlier saying hi, but Albert was in the chat. Billy was in the chat. Joel was in the chat. Joe was in the chat. Vince, it was all over the place tonight. Great, big thank you to all y'all. Stacy, let the viewers know, let the listeners know what you have going on.
Yeah, so I'm at Stacy_Perez83. We can find all my content there on the Twitter machine. Just out here trying to plan the rest of the season out, guys. It is August. It is August already. Well, in a day, it's going to be August. And football is going to be here before we know it. Only a few more weeks left for us to be drafting, so we got to cram all as much drafting as we possibly can in before September hits and it's football time.
Yeah, Stacy, you realize this was the last draft that you and I get to do on a Tuesday without football.
Without football. Isn't that wild? It's insane. Here. It's already here.
It is absolutely insane. I cannot wait. Thursday, we have the Hall of Fame game, and I will be locked in on the TV. There would be nothing that can disrupt me. Nothing. So don't call 911. I will be fine. Beers, food, TV. That's all I need Thursday. Don't forget, if you are not subscribed to Club Fantasy FFL here on YouTube, you can fix that ASAP. Also, as always, on Tuesday nights, we are simulcast over there on the WOF, the Women of Fantasy Football. If you are not subscribed to Women of Fantasy Football, make sure you are subscribed over there.
Yes.
We are on our way to 2,000. We just passed 1,100 subscribers on the Club Fantasy side. We will build both WOF and Club Fantasy going forward. Make sure you check out all of our shows here on Club Fantasy FFL, and as well as the team's written work over there on clubfantasyffl.com. Stacy, any last words for the good people?
Go USA.
Go USA. I'm going to make sure I hit the right outro music this time. Until next week, y'all.